In this episode, I'm going to explain to you what I mean by saying I am a Robin Hood for the mind. Welcome to this episode of the Limitation Is A Mirage podcast. This week I was talking to Ben Cardall, who is a mentalist and magician and a Sherlockian and a deductionist and a hero school coach and many other things. And I don't know how we got onto the subject, but I started explaining that I am like a Robin Hood for the mind. So Robin Hood stole from the rich and then give to the poor. So what I do is I study with masters and gurus and people at the top of their field. Then I interpret that in my own way, take as many notes as I can, look into everything as much as possible. And then I try to deliver it to my clients, to my viewers, to my listeners, everyone. So the way I look at it was I'm taking all the best knowledge from the people that have studied for years and years and years, just like rich people have worked hard for years and years and years to get their money, or they came up with something that created that money, or they just won it. But either way, I'm a Robin Hood for the mind. So people have studied for years in a certain subject. Like whenever I started to work with Ben, it was because I wanted to improve my memory. And for me, spending the next 5 years delving in and learning everything about memory just was too long. So what I did was I searched for someone that already had done the research, already put in the time and the effort, and I started to study under them. So once I learned that, I started to use those in my talks, the techniques he taught me in my talks and with my clients and things like that. So that was taking knowledge from someone who had earned it over years and years of practice, like he's in his 20th year now, and taking taking those ideas and putting my ideas and concepts to them, and then delivering them to the people that want to come to me, that want to listen to me, want to be coached by me. And I started thinking about that with everything I've done. Like I've studied martial arts with different masters. I've studied weight training with Mark. I've studied NLP. I've studied kinesiology, Reiki. I've done so much stuff. I've worked with so many people who just specialize in one subject. I've done like a Bruce Lee. I've taken the best, that's me being Robin Hood and Bruce Lee, all in one episode. I've taken the best things, the things that I find are the best. There's some things I probably left out that people would think you need to focus on, but they're the best for what I want to do and what I want to achieve with my life and my students and the podcasts I do and everything that I put out there. So that's what I mean by being a Robin Hood for the mind. I'm taking this information, I'm learning as much as I can. I'm going out of my way to learn more stuff, especially if I have a client that wants to delve into something that I'm not particularly savvy at. I'll go and find someone that is, and I will study under them. So I'm taking all this knowledge and putting it together so that you don't have to. So it's still taking me a long time. I've been doing this for 20 years, so it's still taking me the guts of 20 years to put this all together and to get rid of the things that I don't think are necessary, upgrading some of the things that I feel I can upgrade, and just moving forward that way. So it's still taking me 20 years, so I'm hopefully now able to pass on the knowledge to use without you having to spend so much time like I did. And like the gurus and masters that I worked under, they spent far more time than me in those certain subjects. So I like that wee analogy, so I thought that's what I would run with today. This week as well, I've been reading a book called Louder Than Words. I haven't read a book in a long time where I've needed a wee dictionary beside me for some of the words that cropped up. I'm like, I don't know what these words are. Some of the words are unnecessary, which again fits in with the Robin Hood for the mind. Some of the words are unnecessary, like they're a different way of saying direction or line, or like it's just unnecessary to be adding all these big fancy words if that's not what you want to get into, which I personally don't really care about big fancy words. That's why I haven't said any of the ones that I've learned already from this book. But the idea that I've only started the book yesterday or the day before, and the idea behind one of the theories in it I really liked was, because I talk about this a lot, if you want to imagine, if you can't make it to the gym, but you imagine yourself doing the workout, imagine yourself achieving whatever it is that you want to achieve, then that fires on the same sort of feelings, the same psychological and physiological feelings that you get whenever you're doing the action. The only difference is you don't have the actual tactile feel of doing because you're not actually there doing it. But when I started reading this book, it starts to explain that the reason that happens, so that's actually backed by science more than I knew it was, but I didn't realize how much research had been done into it. The whenever you think about, so if I say to you, like, don't think of a pink elephant, most people think of a pink elephant. I always will talk about the people in Oma, they're going to think of the old restaurant, the Pink Elephant. But whenever you are told not to think of something, it still comes into your head. The parts of your brain that create vision, that when I'm looking at the screen and when you're looking at me now, the parts of the brain that create that are still used whenever you imagine it. So if you close your eyes and imagine me speaking right now, you're still going to conjure up an image of me speaking. And if we were in an MRI scan or something like that, you would see the brain firing on the different areas that would be expected to fire on if you were actually seeing what was being seen. But a bit that I never really thought about before, because I suppose I try to aim positively with everything that I do. But they were saying that if you imagine yourself doing bad at the task, then you will get worse. So one of the tests was they got like free throwers for basketball. They got some of them to imagine that they were hitting every free throw, hitting every one. They were, I was going to say potting every basket. They were shooting every basket, every hoop, whatever, dunking, shooting it from away, whatever they were doing. Some had to just imagine doing it really well. Some had to practice it, and some had to imagine doing it bad. When they pulled them back, the ones who had been shooting had got better, obviously, because they were practicing. But the ones who had just imagined that they were going to get better and that they were really good at shooting, they actually improved a lot as well. And the third round, the ones who had imagined themselves doing it badly, they actually got worse. And it happened with bowling and tennis and a few other sports as well. And it got me thinking about the gym, for example. A lot of people have such a negative connection to the gym that even just the thought of going there fills them with dread. So if you're filled with dread before you go, you're probably thinking you're going to be shit at this, or you're not going to do it well, or it's going to be hard, or you're going to be red-faced and look stupid. If you're thinking like that, then that's actually what you're creating. You're creating that in your mind, so you're going to see it visually. You're going to fire on all of the parts of the brain that work towards you creating that outcome. So then whenever you actually go to the gym, that is probably what's going to happen. So I'm always telling people that they should try to get positive anchors with the gym, but I didn't realize how important it was until I started reading this book. I felt it was important, but now I realize it's even more important. So whatever it is that you want to achieve in life, the first thing to do is start visualize yourself getting better. So whenever I go to the gym, I would do this anyway. I'd visualize myself getting through the workout, lifting everything, doing everything perfectly. That's kind of what I want to do. And then as I'm in there, I visualize each set and I work towards getting each set better and improving as I go as well. So because I'm doing that, I'm improving, I'm getting heavier, I'm getting stronger, all the weights are going up, everything's improving the way I want it to improve. So if you're someone that does negatively think or negatively push yourself forward, like you're thinking, this is going to be terrible, this is going to be bad, then that's probably what's going to happen. So an easy task for you is to, every time you think of something negative, try to think of 3 positives to go with it and override it. So that's your homework for this week. Think of 3 things, or anytime you think of anything negative, hopefully you never get to do your homework because you always stay positive, but it's not very likely. Even I do negative thinking whenever I'm setting up stuff. So think about whatever it is comes into your mind that's negative. Think about that and then start to push yourself to think of 3 positives to override that. So that's my take on being a Robin Hood for the mind. Thanks again for tuning in. I hope you have an amazing day whatever you get up to, and I will speak to you again soon.